What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Weekly GCap, the only source you'll ever need to catch up on all the gaming news from the last week. As always, we got quite a couple stories to go through, so let's go ahead and get right into this. And I must warn you guys before we get into this, this is probably one of the most densely packed shows that we've had ever. First things first, got a couple of quick announcements and releases and such to go over. So first thing, Mario Kart 8 Wave 5 DLC released. It comes with 8 courses, those being Koopa Cape, Los Angeles Laps, Moonview Highway, Squeaky Clean Spring, Athens Dash, Daisy Cruiser, Sunset Wilds, and Vancouver Velocity. And then they also released 4 characters in this Wave 5 DLC, which were Birdo, PT Piranha, Wiggler, and Kamek. So whether you want to go purchase the DLC or if you have the expansion pack, you know, for Nintendo Switch Online, then you're able to hop on and just play all this new content now. Next up, this is just a small one, just, you know, something I wanted to cover. But anyway, Helldivers 2 got a new preview, and man, this game looks great. I don't even know how to describe what the game is necessarily. All I know is that my dopamine receptors were going crazy while I was watching the gameplay. I mean, you're seeing it on your screen. It looks like a lot of fun. I'm definitely going to be checking this one out once it releases. Next up, we are actually going to be getting some Test Drive Unlimited Solar Crown gameplay, and it's actually coming pretty soon. So this coming from Video Games Chronicle, quote, "The first gameplay images of Test Drive Unlimited Solar Crown are set to be revealed next week. Publisher Naka and developer KT Racing have announced. Naka will be streaming a 30-minute test drive presentation on its YouTube channel. The event, called TDU Connect, will stream on July 12th at 1 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. BST, and 7 p.m. CEST, which will show how the game looks," end quote. We talked about the delay last week, about how it wasn't actually officially delayed. It was just delayed through like a roadmap that the parent company posted up. It was a really weird situation, but at least we know we're going to be getting gameplay soon, and hopefully a release date will follow along with that. I'm really excited for this game, so yeah, we'll see what the gameplay has in store, and obviously we'll be covering it once that goes live, but I have high hopes for this game. I'm pretty excited for it. Next up, a new Yokai Watch game is in development. This one I was not expecting. When I heard about this, I was like, what? But anyway, this coming from Okihiro Hino on Twitter, quote, "Today is the 10th anniversary of Yokai Watch. It's early. Thank you for all the celebratory tweets. The 10th anniversary special site has been released, so please join us today." And then there was a link to that in the tweet, and then it says, "The next work that builds on the flow of Yokai Watch is steadily progressing. The announcement is still a little ahead, but please look forward to it," end quote. So obviously, that's all we have on the next Yokai Watch game. We don't know anything else yet, no details. We don't know when we're going to be seeing any gameplay, but man, I, like, what I saw, like, I literally, even now, I don't know what to say. I'm so excited for this. If you aren't familiar with Yokai Watch, please do yourself a favor and do some research. This is actually one of the very few games that are still reasonably cheap to pick up if you have, like, a 3DS, so I highly recommend, if you do have a 3DS or a 2DS or whatever, to, you know, scroll the eBay listings, scroll the Mercari listings, see if you can pick yourself up a copy, because surprisingly, again, it's one of the few 3DS games that remain that aren't too expensive yet. Obviously, ever since the eShop closed down, the prices are just going up, and that's how it's gonna be. But yeah, you can still pick up a copy for less than 15 bucks, and it's definitely worth it. Next up, and this one is huge. I am so excited for this one. EA has announced a new Black Panther game. This coming from EA, quote, "As we celebrate the 57th anniversary of Black Panther's comic debut this July, we're thrilled to announce Cliffhanger Games, a new AAA development studio based in Seattle, is working on an original third-person, single-player Black Panther game in collaboration with Marvel Games. Our mission is to build an expansive and reactive world that empowers players to experience what it is like to take on the mantle of Wakanda's protector, the Black Panther," end quote. I am like so, oh my gosh, I'm trying to contain myself, but just reading that. Third person, single player Black Panther game, man. After what happened with the Avengers, you know, like, say what you will about the Avengers, okay? I actually like that game. I had a lot of fun with it, at least playing through the story mode. After the story mode, though, I didn't keep playing it. Obviously, I kind of dropped the game and I moved on after that. That being said, I thoroughly enjoyed my time with Avengers because, I mean, I played through the main story and, like, yeah, honestly, if you pick up Avengers or if you've been thinking about it, I highly recommend it, at least for the main story. Like, some players complain because, you know, the endgame content was hit or miss, whatever, but, like, in terms of the story that they had there, it was actually a lot of fun to play through. And, you know, obviously, with the game kind of leaning on some of the more live servicey elements, a lot of players weren't very fond of that. And unfortunately, that's part of why the Guardians of the Galaxy game that released, I believe it was at the end of 2021, that game just kind of flew below the radar, which is really sad because that game was absolutely fantastic, and to this day, I still believe it's highly underrated. Like, it's gotten a bit more attention, and some players have gone back and played Guardians of the Galaxy and realized, like, oh yeah, this game is actually fantastic. It wasn't just more of that live service stuff, south, and Black Panther seems to be, you know, trailing along on that same path, and it really makes me happy. More of this, please. And for our next story, Sega said they won't be making blockchain games. This coming from PlayStation Lifestyle, quote, and you'll understand why my tone of voice is a little weird here. Quote, Sega won't make blockchain games, but will license some characters for NFTs. And originally I was gonna read all of this because there was like an entire article here with, you know, some of the people over at Sega just talking about why they don't want to, you know, make blockchain games and why they're so bad and why games should just be games. But instead, I'm not gonna read any of that. We're just gonna go down a little bit, and this happened the next day. Line Next has announced that it will team up with Sega and license an immensely popular IP for its blockchain gaming platform game, Dosi. Quote, Line Next is pleased to be teaming up with Sega to bring some exciting games to the Web3 space for gamers around the world, said Youngsu Ko, CEO of Line Next. Through this partnership, Game Dosi will provide Web3 content that anyone can easily enjoy, including Sega fans. So, yeah, originally this was just going to be a nice story of Sega won't be making blockchain games, and then I was going to read that quote, and it was going to be like a whole funny thing because Sega was just like burying blockchain games, and then the next day that happened. So, I mean, let's just move on. Anyway, next up, for the longtime viewers out there, you may remember all the way back to the very first episode of WGC of this new show here that you're watching now, all those months ago. We had talked about how Yuji Naka got into some trouble behind the scenes, you know, there was some insider trading going on, it was a bit of a messy situation, but all these months later, we finally have an update on that situation. This coming from Polygon, quote, Yuji Naka, co-creator of Sonic the Hedgehog, was given a prison sentence of 2 years and 6 months, as well as fines totaling 1.2 million for his role in an insider trading scheme dating to 2020. According to Japanese news agency Jiji Press, Naka's prison sentence has been suspended for 4 years, meaning he avoids serving time as long as he adheres to the conditions of his release and doesn't break the law again during this time. In suspending Naka's sentence, the judge noted that he had shown remorse for his crime, and quote, so he's technically been sentenced to prison, but at this point, he's not going to go to prison as long as he, you know, keeps being a good boy and he doesn't get into any more trouble and he doesn't break any more laws with insider trading. So he may be able to avoid jail time, and apparently, according to the judge, he showed a lot of remorse for his crime. So I'll keep you guys updated as I have been anytime that we've gotten, you know, more updates on the story. But as of now, it seems like as long as he can stay good, he won't be going to prison, which, you know, despite what he did, I don't think anybody deserves, well, you know what, I shouldn't say that. I do believe there's many circumstances where people, you know, deserve to go to prison. Like, you know, in fact, there's a lot of people that I wish would go to prison for longer than they do, and potentially even rot in prison. But anyway, that's a conversation for another day. When it comes to things like this, when it comes to, like, schemes with business, you know, it's part of the economy, man. People are just trying to stay on top. It is what it is. Personally, you know, it's not like he kicked anybody's dog. He didn't assault anybody. He was just trying to make some cha-ching, you know what I mean? Like, who can fault him? We're all out here trying to do the same thing. So, if anything, I was hoping that he wouldn't go to prison, and, you know, I'm glad that he isn't, because, he, you know, he's the co-creator of Sonic, which maybe I'm a little biased, but that is one of my favorite platformers of all time. But, yeah, again, if we get any more updates on the story down the line, I'll let you guys know. Hopefully, he can just keep his nose clean and stay out of prison. Next up, just one quick thing I wanted to cover. Right now, the Xbox has, like, their whole indie thing going on, so this coming from Xbox, quote, we're back. What's summer without new game demos to entertain you during these hot days and nights? Starting July 11th and running until July 17th, you'll be able to experience over 40 game demos on your Xbox console, and just keep in mind that, you know, these are all, like, indie games, and they also noted in the article that these aren't, like, your typical game demos. These are more or less, like, the type of demos you see if you went to an event like E3, or just, like, you know, like, other events similar to that, so definitely check some of these out, because they won't be up forever. Some of them will be, but not all of them, so definitely check out any games that interest you. I know I definitely will be. And for our next story, Evan Wells is going to be retiring from Naughty Dog. If you don't know who Evan Wells is, he was the co-president alongside Neil Druckmann at Naughty Dog. They posted up like a whole article or a whole blog talking about this, so we'll just go ahead and just kind of read through this quick. This coming from Naughty Dog, quote, today Evan Wells announced that after 25 years at Naughty Dog, he'll be retiring at the end of 2023. While he will very much still be part of the studio leadership team until his departure, he and I spent much of the past couple of years building a leadership structure that reflects our growing team at the kennel and sets us up for the future. As Evan has pointed out, our good fortune has led to immense and steady growth. With that kind of success and size comes the need to reevaluate how we structure a studio leadership team that reflects the next chapter for Naughty Dog, end quote. And then after that, they just kind of went on to detail what everybody's new positions are going to be after Evan Wells leaves later this year. Regardless, it's always sad when we hear about stuff like this, but it is understandable. He's been there for like over 2.5 decades, so whether he's moving on to new things or whether he's simply just going to be kind of retiring and chilling out, whatever it is, I wish him all the best. If we end up learning any more about this story, I'll definitely let you guys know. Next up, as you guys know, I like to update you whenever there's new stuff coming to all the different subscription services, and this time I have an update for the PlayStation Plus Extra and Premium games for the month of July. So let's go ahead and just speed through this. It Takes Two, Sniper Elite 5, SnowRunner, World War Z, The Ascent, Undertale, SpongeBob SquarePants Battle for Bikini Bottom Rehydrated, Melty Blood Type Lumina, I think is how you say it, Dismantle, Circus Electrique, Dynasty Warriors 9, Samurai Warriors 5, My Little Pony: A Maritime Bay Adventure. Oh, definitely gotta pick that one up. Fast and Furious Spy Racers Rise. Wait, Fast and Furious Spy Racers Rise of Shifter. That was throwing me all off. There's like a whole bunch of 1s and 3s and numbers and stuff in that title. Anyway, Monster Jam Steel Titans. And then that's it for the extra tier. And then in the premium tier, we have Gravity Rush Portable, Twisted Metal, and Twisted Metal 2. So, in just a couple of days here, this coming Tuesday, you'll be able to check some of those games out and download them. Definitely let me know down in the comments, what games are you going to be downloading from that list? Next up, Limited Run Games had a showcase the other day, so I wanted to go ahead and just kind of recap it, as I always do. Anyway, so we're just going to do the same thing that we do with the PlayStation titles. We'll just kind of get through this, because the last story here is going to take us a long time to get through, so I'm trying to get us there as quick as possible, you know what I'm saying? Anyway, so first up, Castlevania Advanced Collection coming to the Switch and the PS4, Rise of the Triad Ludicrous Edition coming to the Switch, PS4, PS5, Xbox, and Steam. Kumaju Remelia Scarlet Symphony coming to the Switch. The Making of Karateka coming to the Switch and the PlayStations. The QQQ Tiger Heli Collection. The Kyu Kyoku, maybe, I think that's how you say it, yeah, Tiger Heli Collection, coming to the Switch and the PS4, I was trying to say that, but it's not happening, apparently. Roller Coaster Tycoon 3 Complete Edition coming to the Switch, El Shaddai Ascension of the Metatron HD coming to the Switch, Dungeons of Ether coming to Switch, Chicory A Colorful Tale is finally getting a physical release for the Switch and the PlayStations. Odin Cat's Paradise Collection coming to the Switch. Shantae Advance Risky Revolution coming to the Game Boy Advance. And that's going to be like an actual Game Boy Advance release, like all the cartridge and everything. Super excited for that one. The Shantae series is actually great. I wish that series would get more love, man. RZ The Jewel of Faramore coming to Switch, PS4, PS5, Xbox, and Steam. Nightmare in This Way, Madness Live, Switch, and PS5. Midnight Fight Express getting a physical release on Switch and PS4. Colossal Cave coming to Switch, PS4, PS5, and Steam. Another Crusade coming to Switch, PS5, and Xbox. Gargoyles Remastered coming to Switch, PS4, PS5, and Xbox. Rose and Camellia Collection coming to the Switch. Double Shade coming to Switch and the PlayStations. Jurassic Park Classic Games Collection coming to the Switch, the PlayStations, the Xboxes, and Steam. Clock Tower coming to Switch, PlayStations, the Xbox, and Steam. Tomba coming to the Switch, the PlayStations, and Steam. Super excited for that one. Whew. And then finally, the Gex Trilogy coming to Switch, PlayStations, Xboxes, and Steam. That one really just caught me by surprise. I loved Gex back in the day, and I still love Gex. I revisit those games often, and man, I didn't think I'd be living in a world where Gex would finally be making a comeback, but to say that I'm excited would seriously be understating it. I mean, it's Gex. I can't wait. All in all, I don't think I need to tell you guys that that was an absolutely fantastic showcase. This, not E3 season has been absolutely fantastic between PlayStation, Xbox, Nintendo, and all the other publishers that have been hosting these events, right? It's just, it's been a great summer for games, and this not only the second half of this year, but, you know, the next couple of years. Things are really heating up for gaming, and I can't wait. And for our last story of the day, Microsoft won against the FTC in court. Now, this is going to take us a while to get through, so please bear with me. I'm going to try to get us through this in one piece as quick as possible. I know this video's already been going for a little while, but yeah, I mean, this is quite a lot of notes, so let's go ahead and just get started here. This coming from The Verge, quote, "In a ruling submitted today, Judge Corley said the following: Microsoft's acquisition of Activision has been described as the largest in tech history. It deserves scrutiny. That scrutiny has paid off. Microsoft is committed in writing, in public, and in court to keep Call of Duty on PlayStation for 10 years on parity with Xbox. It made an agreement with Nintendo to bring Call of Duty to Switch, and it entered several agreements to, for the first time, bring Activision's content to several cloud gaming services. circumstances, this court's responsibility in this case is narrow. It is to decide if, notwithstanding these current circumstances, the merger should be halted, perhaps even terminated, pending resolution of the FTC administrative action. For the reasons explained, the court finds the FTC has not shown a likelihood it will prevail on its claim this particular vertical merger in this specific industry may substantially lessen competition. To the contrary, the record evidence points to more consumer access to Call of Duty and other Activision content. The motion for a preliminary injunction is therefore denied. So to sum that up, without all the legal talk, just in the simplest terms possible, Microsoft won. But things aren't over yet, because if you remember, the CMA did not approve of this deal, and we do have a little bit of information regarding that. Quote, Microsoft and the UK's Competition and Markets Authority, aka the CMA, have both agreed to pause their legal battle over the proposed Activision Blizzard acquisition in order to further negotiate. Microsoft has just won a separate ruling with a US federal court against the FTC, and the CMA is the last regulator preventing the Xbox maker from completing a $68.7 billion Activision Blizzard deal. Now, following that, Phil released a whole memo in response to everything that had happened. Today, a U.S. District Court judge issued a decision denying the Federal Trade Commission's request for a preliminary injunction, which would have temporarily blocked our acquisition of Activision Blizzard from closing in the United States. We're grateful that, upon a review of the evidence and witness testimony, the court rejected the FTC's claims that our acquisition would harm consumers. The evidence showed the deal is good for the industry and that the FTC's claims about console switching, multi-game subscription services, and the cloud do not reflect the realities of the gaming market. After today's decision, we are turning our focus to the UK. As you may be aware, a few months ago, the UK Competition and Markets Authority recommended that the deal be prohibited. We disagree with the CMA's concerns and have challenged its decision on appeal. At the same time, however, we are considering how the transaction might be modified to address the CMA's concerns in a way that is acceptable to the CMA. In order to prioritize work on potential options, Microsoft and Activision have agreed with the CMA that pausing the appeal now would be in the public interest, and both we and the CMA have made a joint submission to the Competition Appeal Tribunal to this effect. From the beginning, the gaming leadership team and I believe that this acquisition will meaningfully benefit players and the gaming industry. Since we announced our intent, our actions have demonstrated our commitment to bringing more games to more people on more devices. This includes numerous signed agreements to make Activision Blizzard's games, Xbox first-party games, and Game Pass all available to more players than they are today. I'm proud of our efforts to expand player access and choice throughout the process. This deal has already been cleared to move forward in 38 countries, and we will continue to work toward timely resolution in other jurisdictions. Thank you to everyone who has devoted their time and dedication in support of our acquisition. We embarked on this deal with a clear vision for meeting players where they are, and with today's decision by the court, we take an important step forward in bringing this vision to life. Phil. End quote. Now, it seems like all sunshine and roses, right? Like, everything's all good. Microsoft won against the FTC. They're working on negotiating things with the CMA, and, everything seems like all is well, right? No. The FTC filed for an appeal against Microsoft. So, this coming from The Verge, quote, now that the FTC is choosing to appeal Judge Corley's decision, the regulator needs the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals to issue an emergency stay to extend the existing temporary restraining order, aka a TRO, that is set to expire at 11:59 p.m. Pacific time on Friday, July 14th. It's not clear if the appeals court will even rule before the deal deadline on July 18th, potentially leaving the door open for Microsoft to close the Activision Blizzard deal on Monday or Tuesday without a restraining order in place. And then Brad Smith responded to this saying, the district court's ruling makes crystal clear that this acquisition is good for both competition and consumers. Brad Smith, Microsoft's vice chair and president, said in a statement to The Verge, we're disappointed that the FTC is continuing to pursue what has become a demonstrably weak case, and we will oppose further efforts to delay the ability to move forward, end quote. So at this point, I would say that it's unclear what the result will be, but it's kind of clear all at the same time. So, as of now, it seems like they're going to be able to close this deal by Monday or Tuesday, as long as everything works out from, a timing perspective. As of now, if I'm going to be honest, it seems like everything's going to be good to go. Once Monday, Tuesday rolls around, Monday morning, 9 a.m., when, when business hours technically start, right? I feel like Microsoft and Activision at that point are just going to be able to, quickly just snap their fingers, get this thing wrapped up, and that's going to be that. Unless something, gets in their way, unless, some timings don't exactly work out in their favor, I have a feeling that by Monday, as long as they're swift about it, and as long as they get this thing done, I do believe that the deal is going to go through, and that's going to be that. Obviously, though, with this appeal being filed, we're going to have to see how the timing works out. For all we know, this could be dragged out for a bit longer. Obviously, next week, I'll update you guys on whatever ends up happening with this. I do expect us to be coming on here and saying, hey, Microsoft owns Activision now, and that's that. But you never know, some things could not work out in Microsoft's favor in terms of the timing, because that's really all that it comes down to at this point, is just timing. So we'll just kind of have to watch for now and see what happens. But as of now, I don't have a whole lot to add on to this. I'm glad that Microsoft has proven successful so far. You know, they deserve this acquisition. After everything they've done, after all the fighting they've done, after all the time they spent in the courtroom, and just, you know, all the statements they've made, you know, just really proving that they do have the consumer's best interest at heart. Yeah, I do believe that they do deserve to have this acquisition go through, and I feel like it'll be nothing but good for us gamers once the acquisition does go through. Anybody that, you know, is opposing this deal for whatever reason, just, I don't know, anyone who is opposing this deal just simply isn't a gamer, right? The only people opposing this are, you know, the people in suits. But anyway, as of now, we're just gonna kind of leave this off on a to be continued, and then we'll pick up with this next week, and we'll cover what happened then. But anyway, that's all the stories I got for you guys this week. I tried to get through everything as fast as possible, because I knew that last story was going to take a while. I'm looking at my recording now, and yeah, I can tell this video was a little bit longer than I would have liked it to be. I try to keep these, you know, under 20 minutes for you guys, but on the busier weeks, there's only so much I can do. But anyway, now I'd love to hear from you guys. What are your thoughts on everything we talked about this week? Definitely let me know down in the comments, whether it's about the Microsoft acquisition stuff, or Sega and blockchain games, whatever it is, whatever you're thinking. I'd definitely love to hear from you guys. But anyways, this is Weekly GCap. New episodes go live every single Friday at 9 a.m. Eastern, so if you want to catch them as soon as they go live, well then, now you know to be here. But anyway, thank you guys for watching. Have an amazing day and an amazing weekend. Stay beautiful. I love you all. Peace.